Hey, what's up guys? I'm Raga.
I'm Brad.
And today we're going to do kind of a different video. We're going to talk about what to think about when choosing a kite quiver. And Brad here, actually, you probably don't know, he's one of the original MACkite shop riders, I believe, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
long time.
From the birth of the sport, as a matter of fact. And I think it might be kind of fun to get some different perspectives beyond my own and talk to some people who have a good deal of experience. So what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah,
what would you go about?
Yeah, well, I think a big part of it is begin with the end in mind, which is first figure out when do you realistically plan on riding.
Mm-hmm.
How many kites do you intend to have? You're just going to have one and be fair weather summer sailor? Okay, that's one discussion. You're going to be opportunistic with 2 kites, summer and spring and fall. Fine, that's good to know. 3 kites, 4 kites. It's a basic thing you got to answer before you start populating your sizes.
Yeah, so basically you want to think about like what seasons you're going to ride in and what sacrifices you're willing to make with like the wind range between your sizing and the style of kite, basically.
Absolutely. Again, begin with the end in mind. I'm going to ride in a particular location, a particular time of year. That's going to inform your wind range, and you're going to choose accordingly. And you need to know how many kites are you going to let yourself
it's easy to get away with. I wouldn't even go into what I would choose because there'd be a lot of kites.
Exactly. So if you're gonna have 2 kites, obviously you're gonna have different sizes than if you had 3 or 4. So just getting right to it, like picking the right kite, have them being uniform, I think is very important. Getting input from people that are familiar with the gear, super important. After many years of kiting, I'm spoiled, I'll admit it, because I've got 4 kites that are in my quiver. Light wing kite, I'm 160, 5'10", pretty average size guy. Here in West Michigan, on Lake Michigan, my perfect quiver is a 15-meter Contra for light wind, a 12-meter Moto, which is for just playful summer days, basically. 9-meter Switchblade for powered up twin tip riding, and then a 7-meter Drifter, which is really nice around here in the waves on either a twin tip or a mutant type of board or a surfboard.
Now you mentioned, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You mentioned uniform. Now each of these kites is actually a different model aimed at a different rider and a different purpose. So now when you say uniform, when you made that decision, were you trying to be just like uniform within brand, or are you saying like it might be good to stick with a specific model of kite, for example? Okay,
well, 2 schools of thought there. If you're just getting into it, maybe stick with just a particular model. So your muscle memory's the same.
Yep.
As you get more experience and you're in different conditions, you might have different type kites, but I still would say from the same brand. It doesn't have to be the brand I ride or whatever. It's the benefit there is the same control systems, the same safety systems, the same connecting points.
Same knots, yep.
Yep, keep all that stuff together, pick something and try to stay with it. I think you have more fun on the water, less frustration, and be safer on the water.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point too, because when you're new, it is a good idea to go for something like everybody does. Everybody goes for the all-around kite when they're new, but when you're experienced, it's kind of fun to get into those more niche kites. I do it myself. I ride wave kites when I'm in the waves. I ride freestyle kites when I'm in freestyle conditions, and I work at a shop, so I have the luxury of choosing. When I'm going out for big air, I'm going to pick a big air kite made for looping. Like, it's just, the benefits are so significant when you're more experienced rider and you've been at it for a while. So that's a big consideration as well. So what's your level and what are you looking to get out of it? Because new rider is not going to appreciate the niceties of like a fresh freestyle kite or a fresh wave kite.
You got it. So figure out what you think you want to do, talk to someone that knows, and just, again, begin with the end in mind.
I think that's a good point as well, talking it out with somebody like a shop guy, for example, just calling a shop, and anybody who's actually a kiteboarder. And that's a tough one too, because I don't know if everybody has the end in mind as well, because it's such a versatile sport, right?
Yeah,
there's so many,
I know.
There's so many facets.
Don't put me in a box.
Don't put me in a box. Exactly.
Right.
But on that note too, I think gear has reached a point where most kites actually can fall into the all-around category. Even a lot of the niche kites now do fall into the all-around.
Totally.
So we're kind of in it's kind of a blessing and a curse, because in some ways, like, I feel like we might be missing out on some of the things when kites were like super niche, but also it's kind of like an easier choice to make the right choice, but it's always good to like talk it out with somebody who has that experience.
Right. Totally. I've not been on a recent kite that I didn't have fun on. You can go out. It's all about getting to know a particular piece of equipment and its ins and outs and what you can do with it and what you should avoid. And yeah, so you don't need to overthink it on the other side of it. Yeah.
From your quiver, it sounds like you've got a 15 Contra, which I personally think, I still think the Contra is one of my favorite light wind kites. So you're obviously using that for the light wind days. No, you said you have a 12 Moto?
12 Moto.
Which makes sense, kind of the more playful, so you're getting like a faster mid-range kite. I get the logic there. What was the size down from that?
9-meter switchblade.
Okay, I also see the logic in that. Good for gusty wind, good for stronger wind, more control, more wind range. You're getting out in stronger winds, you want the range.
Edge and pop, go big. Yeah.
That's actually pretty smart. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then for the high winds, you're doing a drifter.
The drifter, not that you can't jump and go huge on, but it kind of reminds me, like, don't do that, Brad. Just stay on the water and have fun in the waves. It rides deeper in the window. It wants to do that. It wants to handle the gusts well. That's how I arrived at that. And
in our local spot as well, a lot of you probably don't know, but when it's nuking here, the waves are cranking. So it makes sense why, for your spot, you would go for a wave kite in the high wind conditions.
Yep.
So I think that plays back to what Brad was saying, like thinking about your location. And part of that is getting the intel from a local in your area. So you got to talk to the local kiteboarders, talk to your local shop, just talk to the riders who know, because then they can give you kind of the right guidance. And I like your thought on that, because I used to always think as well, like if I was building a quiver, like back when I used to ride a lot of Cabrita kites back in the day, and I always thought like, oh yeah, my 14, like for sure I would do a 14 FX for freestyle, probably a 10 FX just because it's like that's the wind range I want to do it. And then same thing, I was like, oh yeah, I'd have to do like an 8 switchblade for those nuking days because it was a kite that was super consistent. And then obviously the wave kite for that, and then a Contra. So that's a really well thought out quiver, but you do have 4 kites.
Yeah.
So kind of a spoiled quiver as well.
Yeah, that's right. You gotta, you know, if that's your passion, you know, you got to put it in perspective, you know. I just spend enough time on the water. It's like, okay, I want to have the right tool for the job to the extent I can do that.
That's the trick. You got to have the right tools for the job. But the good news is, depending on your level, most tools will get the job done.
That's true. Yep.
Cool, man. I appreciate it. It was fun.
Thanks, Rigo.
So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you got some useful information out of this one. Any questions, let us know in the comments. If you did find the video useful, hit that thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button. We'll catch you later.